Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons and Dragons advice video on survivability, and a lot of this can be translated into virtually any tabletop role-playing game. But when a player makes a character that is just so peachy keen or has all these wonderful backstories and all that stuff, it's absolutely wonderful, except that they die because they have no survivability. That is just annoying, especially as a dungeon master. It's annoying. Other players won't really care because they've made their character survivable, or unless the anti-survivability of this character kills off that character. That's the only reason they're gonna. Unless it affects them, it's not gonna really bother them. But as a dungeon master, you plan your campaign around these 8 or 10, 6, 8, whatever many characters, and each one of them is an integral part of the tapestry of the campaign. And then when one of them dies because the player couldn't make him survive, yeah, that's stupid. It screws with the campaign. And this is the angle of this video that I'm taking. This is the viewpoint I'm taking. So here we go. I have talked about this a number of times in previous videos, but for whatever reason, old and newer players, as well as other dungeon masters, continue to debate the issue of character development. Let me state this outright and with a degree of certainty. Character development in an ongoing campaign is essential. The roleplay aspect is important, and it is hard to roleplay with a one-dimensional killing machine. Player characters have to interact with non-player characters on a social and political level, and those player characters need to have the skills, background, and capabilities to do so. This is not in dispute at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Your character has to be able to function in the society, and roleplay is an important aspect of that. Okay? Now, however, a serious consideration of any player character is survivability. Whatever character a player creates, that player character has to be able to survive. Survival, this is the way I look at it, survival has 3 aspects. 1, defense. Good armor class and hit points. A player character has to have as many hit points as possible with the best armor class that they can finagle. Beg, borrow, steal, buy, whatever. You got to have the best armor class you can get, and you got to have as many hit points as you can. Okay? That's the first aspect. And if you can bolster that with spells or magic or whatever, hire bodyguards, whatever it takes, you got to be able to defend yourself. The second aspect of that is offense. The player character has to be able to deal damage as well as have a variety of ways to do so. Okay? If your character is a great wizard but then goes into an area that can't, his magic doesn't work for whatever reason, yeah, he's virtually useless. You see? A character who is a fighting machine, but for whatever reason, like for example, I had this happen a lot. I would create a character who the game called for a one-dimensional fighting machine. So I would create this badass guy with a battle axe or a two-handed sword or spear, whatever, and the villain could fly. I'm screwed. Unless I can throw the spear or find a way to use a bow or something, throw a weapon at it. Yeah, but if you miss, you're screwed. You see what I'm saying? If the villains are flying, grounded people, no matter how great of a fighter they are virtually useless. Okay? Especially if that flying villain has a breath weapon, because they can hit you and you can't hit them. You see? You got to think of things like this. You got to prepare in advance for this kind of thing. Your character has to be able to deal the damage in a variety of ways against a variety of opponents. Okay? If you can't do that, offensively, you are not a survivable character. And finally, tertiary. The player character needs to be able to forage, hunt, trap, fish, etc. to feed himself or herself, as well as have skills that he or she can parlay into an income. He needs to be able to earn a living. He needs to be able to survive the elements. He needs to be able to survive a variety of different situations, and none of them have to do with combat. Okay? If your character cannot feed himself at the very minimum, he's useless, because he will starve to death. If your character has no has no a way to make a living, he'll be a beggar in the streets. You see what I'm saying? He'll have to resort to thuggery, ugh, smash, take the money kind of thing. And that most societies tend to frown on that. Okay? If you want to make a living that way, if your character is a thief and pickpocketing works for you, amen. But it's nice to have something to fall back on in case that doesn't work. Okay? Eventually, every thief gets caught. Eventually, every thug gets outmatched. You gotta have something to fall back on. The latter of the three, tertiary, plays into the social, I'll get it right in a minute, the social and political aspects of the roleplay situation, but the other two are purely combat related. Many players and dungeon masters these days don't put a lot of stock into offense and defense, and that, in my opinion, is just plain stupid. What good is being a concert pianist if your character dies? What good is being able to sing, dance, or cook if your character dies? What good is romancing the local tavern wench if your character dies? What good is seducing the princess if your character dies? What good is wearing 10 million gold pieces of jewelry if your character dies? What good is sitting on the throne if your character dies? See my point? Roleplay is important, but it is not more important than basic survivability. I'm getting tongue-tied here. I do a bunch of these videos in order, and after a while my tongue is, But anyway, the point being, I have lost count of the number of players, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but usually it's little girls, teenage girls, or younger, immature girls, I should say, who, and I've had this happen with guys too, so it's not sexist, but usually it's the girls that do this. They want a character that is cutesy. They want a character who is just so cute and has all these neat abilities, and then they run up against the dragon who doesn't give two shits about those cute little abilities and breathes fire on them, and they die. And then they're like, "You can't do that. I didn't do it. The dragon did it." "But you're running the dragon." Yes, and I have a campaign to run. It's not my fault you made a character that couldn't survive. It's not my fault your character had, 1,000 skills that aren't related to keeping them alive. I mean, you want to have some skills, obviously, other than combat related. I had this happen to me a while back. It was a 5th edition game, and it was a one-shot. And in a one-shot game, it's essentially you're on a mission, and your mission is to do X, Y, and Z. And none of that has to do with once you're out of the kingdom to go and perform the mission. The stuff out there, there's no social aspect to that. You are a killing machine. Your job is to perform mission X, Y, and Z. That's it. So when I leveled up in 5th edition and I got some bonuses that I could add to my skills, to my stats, my character was good with a bow. That was his primary thing. So I stuck him into dexterity to make me a better bow shot, because that's the whole point of a one shot, right? If it was and I explained that, okay, but the dungeon master asked me, he goes, why don't you do something besides just the bow? I said, because that's what I do damage with. Or does that not make sense? But you could try some character development in a one shot. Why? This character was not going to be used beyond that one shot. So what's the point? If it's an ongoing campaign, and we're building up our character, and my character will eventually attain some sort of position, political or military or otherwise, whatever, and I needed to parlay my social skills into doing X, Y, or Z, or A, B, or C, or whatever, then yeah, I could see building the character. But on a one-shot, people don't understand. They seem to forget that a one-shot is just a mission. That's all it is. You're going out there to kill the bad guy and collect either the treasure or retrieve some item or whatever. That's the whole point. Your ability to cook a magnificent meal or to dance in a social setting at the castle, or to your ability in a desert area, your ability to swim doesn't matter. Your ability to deal damage does. That's all a one-shot is. I cannot stand one-shots. Anytime somebody says, well, I'm going to do a one-shot. Okay, whatever. Let's just get it over with. That's me. But I'm not going to stand here and insult what other people do. If people like it, knock yourself out. I got no problem with it. But don't expect other people to play along. If it's a one-shot, character development literally does not matter. It doesn't matter. Give me a good campaign. Hell yeah, I'll develop the hell out of that character. He'll end up sitting on a throne at one point, either by his own hand or somebody else's. But I got no problem with that. I'll develop the hell out of a character in a campaign. And I proved that with another campaign my friend Chris is running in the same area with well, it's different people now, but at the time it was the same people. I did a video where one of the players, and it happened to be that other dungeon master, told me I could not run an evil character. So I developed a half-orc cleric of Grumsh, and I was playing that. I was playing the hell out of that. Luckily, when all those other players quit, Chris allowed me to do a redemption arc, and he did it well. And applause to Chris. Good job, sir. Because now I get to continue running this character under a different god, and it worked out well. See, that's character development. That is awesome. But in a one-shot or just a simple mission to go do whatever, character development doesn't matter. That's why I don't like them. I prefer campaigns. That's just me, because it allows you to develop your character. Again, I'm going to get back to the original premise of this video. Character development is fine, but you have to be able to survive. Otherwise, all the character development in the world is pointless. It is meaningless to be able to dance at the Royal Cotillion if your character dies. You see what I'm saying? It is pointless to seduce or to make somebody fall in love with you so you can marry them or whatever, because that's what a lot of the little girls these days want to do in role-playing games. It's pointless if your character dies, because then you get to make up another one, and usually they go through the same damn arc again. Survivability, people. Survivability. That's all I'm saying. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.